It's human nature to want to believe. In fact, people have several beliefs on every area of their lives, from money, education, religion, family life to health. Some beliefs are ingrained early on. For instance, families teach their kids to believe in a story written in their holy book. There are beliefs which we pick up as we get older. But when I mention the word belief or faith, what comes into your mind immediately? There are beliefs that are good, like keep fighting in the face of adversity, and those that are generally negative, like the belief that some people are better than others. You can change your beliefs at any time, especially if they don't apply to you anymore or if they are proven false. Whatever you stand for, be careful about the beliefs that you hold. They could be damaging to you as a person, or they may be hurting others without your knowledge. Today, we will look at how belief and faith can come in between us and our health. This is not a full-fledged science video, but it is more of a thought exercise to help you think why people opt for certain things in life. So sharpen your grey cells and follow me. Scene 1. A doctor is preparing for a critical surgery. Before he goes into the operation theatre, the doctor would tell the relatives, "We will do our best, but then Almighty will decide. So keep praying." So the doctor here is putting his belief not on himself or the medical technology, but on someone else. Suppose this doctor, instead of saying the cliched dialogue, says, "I have given the medicines. If the patient's body responds to them aptly, he will survive. Otherwise, he may not." What would happen then? Most probably, this doctor will be beaten up. Why does this happen? As far as humans are concerned, we would like to hear what gives us relief and satisfaction, and not the scientific truth. So what is faith and trust, and what is the difference? Believing blindly in something without any sort of evidence, just because someone told you so, is blind belief and faith. Is there anything that you cannot believe based on faith? You can believe in Santa Claus if you want, or a ghost, or anything for that matter. It is your belief. You don't need to provide evidence for it. Now, trust demands an evidence or proof, and you would need to share reasons why you would trust someone or something. Now cut back to scene 1. Why would a doctor of medicine tell the relatives, or for that matter the patient, that he has to keep faith in someone else? The doctor is actually saving his or her own life. Any surgery does not guarantee 100% success. There is always a chance of failure. But patients and their relatives don't understand this. If any medical surgery is successful, the relatives say, "Oh, thank God." But if it fails, the doctor is beaten up. We have been hearing such cases of attacks on doctors and hospitals when a treatment fails all around the country for ages now. There is a recent video of the same doing rounds about a doctor in Assam getting manhandled by public. Pathetic is the only word that comes to my mind. While we have heard of many cases of doctors and hospitals attacked, have you ever heard of a homeopathic doctor or clinic attacked? Or an Ayurvedic treatment center or any traditional guru's treatment center vandalized because of a failed treatment? No. Why is this? It is because when a patient comes to a modern medicine hospital for treatment, they come with trust in science and the treatment. But when they go to visit any such so-called alternative medicine treatment, they take this as a lottery and already has little confidence in such treatments. It is like if you get cured, well and good. Otherwise, it was just a try. The mentality of most patients who approach these alternative medicines is this: I have tried everything else. Now let me try this too. What harm can be done? If it works, it is a bonus. If it didn't, oh well, at least we tried. So no one would beat up any practitioner of such medicines. Also, most of the people who go to these treatments for severe illnesses don't have the ability to come up from 6 feet under the ground or rise from the ashes to come back and complain. Now, do we approach a modern medicine doctor with that mentality? No. There, we want the science to work, even though no doctor advertises or claims 100% effectiveness. So why do we believe something? We have already discussed this in some of our previous videos, so I won't go into detail here. But belief in something has helped humans to survive on our evolutionary highway. It has helped humans to live in small groups and go on to sustain large-scale cooperation based on a few beliefs. So what once helped humans to survive became a part of us. And even though we have better things to trust, we still believe things blindly. Most of the times, we believe things due to peer pressure or social conformity. Let us see how. Please see this video of a social experiment conducted by National Geographic. It is a social experiment that demonstrates how and why people succumb to beliefs without pausing to think. I will see you at the other end of this video.
To answer that question, we set up a hidden camera experiment to see if this woman would stand up at the sound of this tone, simply because everyone else is. You might be thinking you'd never go along with this. Or would you? After just 3 beeps, and without knowing why she's doing it, this woman is now conforming perfectly to the group. But what happens if we take the group away?
Elaine, please.
Okay, now she's alone. The crowd is gone and nobody is watching her, except our hidden cameras. What do you think she'll do? She's now conforming to the rules of the group without them even being there. Now, watch what happens when we introduce another outsider who doesn't know the rules.
For a noon appointment. Have a seat and they'll be out in just a couple minutes. Great, thanks so much.
Everybody was doing it, so I thought I was supposed to.
Think she'll teach the new guy what to do? We kept the cameras rolling as more unsuspecting patients arrived. And slowly but surely, what began as a random rule for this woman has now become the social norm for everyone in this waiting room. Here to explain what's going on in their brains is Jonah Berger of the University of Pennsylvania.
This sort of internalized form of herd behavior is part of what we call social learning. Starting at a very early age, when we see members of our group perform a task, our brains literally reward us for following in their footsteps.
When I saw everybody stand up, I felt like I needed to join them. Otherwise, I'm like excluded. Once I decided to go with it, then I felt much more comfortable.
Conformity is how we become socialized, but it can also cause us to develop bad habits or repeat past wrongs.
And it's why even this rebel, who wasn't standing for any of this nonsense, eventually joined the ranks. And the only thing more shocking than seeing how easily conformity affects the way you act is that similar forces are subconsciously shaping the way you think right now.
My intention of showing this video is not just to show how people fall for peer pressure, but to also show why people believe in things without reason. We have been told many things by our parents, friends, colleagues, society as a whole, and we start to believe in these without pausing to think or to question. Another reason to show this video is a precursor to a question that would come up when I discuss alternate medicines. A question that would be there on almost anyone who believes in such treatments is, if they are claimed to be ineffective and unscientific, why do so many people believe in it? Wouldn't there be something in it? Else why would they exist even after all these years? The answer is in the video that you just saw. The thought that something has to be there is the most dangerous thought, especially when it comes to medicines and health. It is wired in our brains to believe without thinking too much. Almost all of our superstitions and beliefs occur due to this tendency of the human mind to conform to social norms. And we are told not to question the social norms. Imagine you are that person who asks that question, why is everyone standing up when you hear the bell? How will the society see you? As an outcast. That person is labeled as someone who has a problem. But in reality, who has the problem? The people who are standing up without thinking, or the person who questions, why are you doing this? I will leave it for you to think. The girl in the video did the standing up because she thought that was the norm. But that wasn't. She was just doing it just to be part of the group, to avoid being an outcast, to survive. But she didn't have to do it. She had to just pause and think rationally and scientifically. We can de-wire ourselves if we pause to think and question the rationale behind things using the scientific method. Ask questions, test a hypothesis, eliminate biases, go where the evidence leads to. If the evidence leads to a dead end, don't stay there. Backtrack and find the right path. Here, I will stress on one important aspect of our brain. It is called cognitive biases. There are more than 200 cognitive biases that has been identified, but for the purpose of the oncoming videos, I will stick to a few that would be relevant. So what is a cognitive bias? A cognitive bias is a systematic error in thinking that occurs when people are processing and interpreting information about the world around them, which affects their decisions and judgments that they make. The human brain is powerful but subject to limitations. Thus, cognitive biases may sometimes lead to inaccurate judgment, illogical interpretation, or what is broadly called as irrationality. One of the most common cognitive bias is called the confirmation bias. The confirmation bias is the tendency to favor information in a way that confirms or supports one's prior beliefs or values. People display this bias when they select information that supports their views, ignoring contrary information. Cherry picking is one of the examples of this bias. I have already discussed this in an earlier video, so I will just whiz through it. Cherry picking is when we pick the best cherries, ignoring the bad ones. The bad ones being things that doesn't appear good to us. This happens in alternate medicines quite a lot. If we have been told that ginger and lemon and garlic are supposed to help cure certain illnesses, we don't pause to think and adopt it straight away. We don't pause to think why and how. The bias has clouded our mind. A second one is bandwagon effect. That is what we saw mainly in the previous video. The bandwagon effect is the tendency of an individual to acquire a particular behavior or attitude because everyone else is doing it. Yoga, low carbs, high fat diets are all examples of this. I will do it because everyone else is doing it. 200 people took arsenicum album and did not get COVID, so I will take it too. As more people come to believe in something, others also hop on the bandwagon regardless of the underlying evidence. The third one is the halo effect. This is the tendency for positive impressions of a person, company, brand, or product in one area to positively influence one's opinion or feelings in other areas. We have all seen this when famous actors endorse products which they have no relation to. If your favorite actor wears the doctor's coat and endorses a product, you adopt it without thinking if the person really has any expertise to recommend that product. Another example is the WhatsApp messages that we get every day. Most of it will contain the name of a doctor from a famous institute, for example, Johns Hopkins or AIMS. We don't pause to think if it is true and forward the same without thinking. We are succumbing to the halo effect here. Just because we think a famous person has said it doesn't make it true. We are subconsciously thinking that just because someone famous or someone from a reputed institute has said something, it must be true. Just because a person who won Nobel Prize says that homeopathy works or that every vaccinated person would die within 2 years doesn't make the claim true. Next is placebo effect, one of the most, if not the most important reason why people fall for alternate healing systems. I have already discussed these on our vaccine videos and hence I won't go in there now. But these will feature prominently many times in the upcoming videos as they are the main reason why alternate therapies appear to work. So what are the problems if we start to have these biases and start believing in fairy tales? We end up with conspiracy theories. Let us take a look at some very common ones related to medical industry before I close. One of the most common conspiracy theories that is currently doing rounds is against vaccination. That vaccination causes autism and that it is done to reduce the population. We have already debunked this and the Wakefield study which caused this on our A to V vaccines episode. Believing in these fairy tales without understanding the science can cause people to jump into the Sarayu River to avoid getting the jab or to have COVID-19 stay among us for a longer time. The next big one is the big pharma conspiracy. That is, the big pharma companies that are ruling the world by making people ill all the time. They claim that the medical community in general and pharmaceutical companies in particular, especially large corporations, operate for sinister purposes and against the public good, and that they allegedly conceal effective treatments or even cause and worsen a wide range of diseases. Specific variations of the conspiracy theory have included the claim that natural alternative remedies to health problems are being suppressed and the claim that a cure for all cancers has been discovered but hidden from the public. In each case, the conspiracy theorists have blamed pharmaceutical companies' search for profits. There may be some companies that may resort to such underhand tactics, but to blame everyone is uncharacteristic. This is claimed by many proponents of alternate medicine in order to convince people to take their own medicines. Another one, which is related to the pharma conspiracy, is that modern medicine doctors keep giving you medicines after medicines but don't cure you as they want to get more money. There may be some who might adopt such crooked methods, but then to paint the entire medical fraternity based on the basis of a few is another cognitive bias called implicit bias or implicit stereotyping. This bias may be associated with a single unpleasant experience in the past, and that causes you to hate everything and everyone associated with that experience and to brand someone as a stereotype. The last one is side effects. Yes, things which have an effect will have side effects. Things which don't have an effect will of course be devoid of any side effects. When you see the next advertisement of an alternative medicine which promises not to have any side effects. Remember this. Many unscientific celebrities, in their efforts to promote their own pseudoscientific medicines, degrade modern medicine doctors. People who believe in these forms of treatments end up destroying their health, and finally, when all is lost, end up at a modern medicine hospital. Now, most of the times, it is way too late for the doctors to do anything. Doctors are not magicians, and yet when that patient dies, the modern medicine doctor gets blamed for it when the real culprits go scot-free. So the reason why I did this episode is to set the tone for the coming series and to try and eliminate any biases that you may have had. This is very important, for when we look at the complementary and alternate therapies, one should look at it without any biases and beliefs. We will test the hypothesis and see if they pass the test. If you like this video, please share it with others so that they too benefit from the information. I will be back soon with the Woo Woo Medicine series. Until then, it's bye-bye from Pale Blue Thoughts.